Traditional composting is a beautiful process, but for many urban gardeners and busy growers, the idea of turning piles every few days, monitoring temperatures, and managing precise carbon-to-nitrogen ratios feels overwhelming. There's good news. You don't need backbreaking effort or perfect layering to create rich, usable compost quickly. There's a lazy composting method that not only simplifies the process, but actually speeds it up, transforming waste into nutrient-rich soil food in a fraction of the time. This method is all about creating an in-place composting system, also known as trench or pit composting. But unlike the traditional trench methods that wait months to break down fully underground, this technique blends fast-acting microbial layering with deep carbon bedding and targeted moisture control to supercharge decomposition without a single turn of the pile. It works especially well in raised beds or directly in garden beds, making it ideal for small space or no-fuss gardeners. To begin, select a space in your garden that you want to enrich over time. This could be a future planting spot or a raised bed that's currently resting. Dig a shallow trench about 8 to 12 inches deep. You don't need a massive hole, just enough to layer kitchen waste, dried material, and starter microbes close to plant root zones or within reach of soil organisms. Once the trench is ready, start with a base of coarse, carbon-rich material like shredded leaves, old mulch, straw, or even torn-up cardboard. This forms the oxygen layer and keeps the system from becoming anaerobic. Next, add your kitchen scraps, vegetable peels, coffee grounds, crushed eggshells, fruit cores, and plate scrapings. Avoid dairy, oils, and meat to prevent pests and odors. Instead of dumping everything in at once, add scraps in thin layers. The goal is to mimic the fast, shallow compost systems you'd find in nature, quick breakdown at the surface level. Now comes the secret that makes this method so fast: microbial jumpstarting. Sprinkle a handful of finished compost, worm castings, or garden soil between the layers of food waste. These are full of microbes and act like inoculants, waking up decomposition within hours. Once this living layer is in place, add another layer of dry carbon material on top to cover any exposed food. This locks in moisture, prevents smells, and keeps flies away. The moisture level in this method is critical. Too dry, and the breakdown slows. Too wet, and you risk anaerobic decay. The material should feel like a wrung-out sponge, damp but not dripping. If it hasn't rained recently, pour a small amount of water into the trench every few days to keep it active. The covering layer of dry material helps maintain this moisture without attracting pests. Because the composting happens in the soil itself, worms and microbes are drawn in naturally. Their movement brings oxygen into the pile and accelerates breakdown even further. Unlike traditional compost heaps that can take months, this lazy trench system can transform waste into dark, crumbly compost within 3 to 4 weeks, especially in warm weather. And since it's already in the bed, there's no need to move or spread it later. It's composting right where your plants will grow. So, one major advantage of this method is that it avoids the chore of turning a pile. There's no need to aerate because soil life handles that job underground. You also don't need to manage precise ratios. As long as you keep layering food scraps with carbon and a bit of inoculant, the system stays balanced and productive. And because it's buried, there's no odor and minimal pest risk, making it perfect for use even in urban balconies or backyard gardens. Another layer of this method includes seasonal planning. In cooler months, you can build these lazy compost trenches in fall or winter, and by spring, the soil will be soft, full of life, and ready for planting. In growing seasons, place them between rows of crops to create feeding corridors that release nutrients gradually as plants need them. It's a continuous, in-place compost loop that adapts to your schedule and garden flow. For container gardeners or those without beds to dig into, the same principle works in deep pots or plastic storage bins. Simply alternate kitchen waste and dry matter with small amounts of finished compost, cover with a lid or mulch, and let nature take its course. After a few weeks, the material will shrink, darken, and smell earthy, ready to feed herbs, flowers, or vegetables directly. This lazy composting method works because it mimics nature. In forests, leaves fall, animals leave droppings, and microbes and insects get to work immediately. No piles, no turning, just continuous recycling. By tapping into this natural process and directing it where you want growth, composting becomes effortless and fast. If you've struggled with traditional compost bins or felt overwhelmed by the process, this method offers a refreshing and effective alternative. It's low effort, low maintenance, and produces results just as rich, if not better, than standard composting methods. And the best part? Your plants benefit directly from the improved soil structure, nutrients, and microbial life that come from compost created right in place. If you found this guide helpful and want more soil-smart techniques without the guesswork, subscribe to Hydro Haven and turn on notifications. Share this with fellow gardeners who think composting is too much work. This method just might change the way they feed their soil forever.